Welcome to Pop Up to Powerhouse, the podcast where side hustles turn pro. Here, we're pulling back the curtain on what it takes to build a standout, profitable brand in the event industry. From pricing with confidence to landing luxury clients, I'm sharing the wins, the setbacks, and everything in between, so you can turn your passion into a powerhouse business. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Pop Up to Powerhouse. Have you ever felt like you've outgrown your business, or maybe it was a career, or maybe it was just a past version of yourself? That's exactly what today's conversation is about. I'm sitting down with my friend Desiree of West Coast Wellness, but before she launched West Coast Wellness, she built a business called Harts Pearls as a single mom who just wanted to stay home with her daughter. One of my favorite parts of her story was that she was doubted by somebody who was very close to her when she launched her business, and that lit a fire under her ass. It was all she needed to launch herself to the next version of herself. I think we've all had those moments. Somebody who's doubted us, somebody who's questioned our dreams. Maybe it was somebody who thought you should just play it safe, but that's exactly the thing that you needed to bet on yourself. But Desiree did exactly that. She built an incredible business, but then years later, she found herself where I think a lot of entrepreneurs end up finding themselves. Successful on paper, but is feeling called to do something more. In this episode, Desiree opens up about her journey through alcoholism, recovery, and how fitness became the thing that helped her rebuild herself from the inside out. And that journey eventually led her to launch West Coast Wellness, where she's now actually helping women do exactly the same thing that she did. We're also going to dive into something I think so many of us struggle with, why it's so easy to pour into everyone else, but it's so hard to take care of ourselves. We talk about strength training, protein, and a 20-minute workout that can be incredibly effective, and how to make health fit into your lifestyle instead of feeling like it's just another thing on your to-do list. I think that we've confused exhaustion with success for way too long. The business that you're trying to build, the family that you're trying to show up for, and the life that you're trying to create all start with the person behind it. I love this conversation, and I think you will too. So here is my conversation with Desiree of West Coast Wellness.
Well, you kind of know because I feel like the last time we really met prior to doing West Coast Wellness I was like, I'm burnt out, I'm tired, I'm done, I'm over this. And so her story really resonated with me because it was like, okay, she was like 41 when she kind of like switched and started doing this. So I was like, okay, like you can switch and you can pivot with starting your previous life, whether it was like a profession or your business. And I feel like you before me started kind of going through that, which was why it was natural for me to reach out to you, because I had seen you starting West Coast Wellness, but knowing you from Harts and Pearls, I remember being like, feeling like, okay, what was that like? Because sometimes you can get so embodied with your previous, especially as your first business, right? It kind of becomes your baby and it becomes your identity. And so I do feel like there's like a death that needs to happen from that previous to become this like new person, like, right? Like how do you go from like doing Harts and Pearls to doing West Coast
Wellness? 100%. Like hearing you talk about it gives me chills, like, because it takes me back to that time, because Harts and Pearls was my baby. It was the business that made it me able to provide as a single mom. And it wasn't this business that I dreamed up and was like, I'm going to go do this. It was out of necessity, right? And I kind of just followed where it took me. And I don't want to make that sound like I didn't like it. I enjoyed it. It was such a fun ride to see a business grow and then continue to grow, and really to see how someone like me that had never had a business before, that you could start from nothing and be a single mom and provide. And really, it takes me back to those moments of like, first time I was ever able to buy Hartley a Christmas present, And so when it came time, it was something internally felt off. And it wasn't, Desiree, you're just burnt out, you're overworking, you just need to rest and go on a vacation. It was deeper. It was, I felt I loved my business and it served this incredible purpose, but it was coming to an end in a way. And I didn't know if that meant Harts and Pearls is done, but I knew there was something different I was supposed to be doing, and I wasn't even sure what it was. And it honestly took me probably 4 years total, because I first convinced myself I was just burnt out and I just needed to like push through the pain and, all the things we hear that it's normal. And after a year that, I was like, okay, this is something else. Because I know what it feels to be burnt out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't last that long. And that's when I started to really speak more vocally about it and tell my husband. And I remember the first time saying it out loud, it was like that moment of truth. Because for me, I can keep a lot internally and just have it be mine. But as soon as it's out loud, it's like, oh my gosh, the truth is out. And now he knows I'm in this spot where for the first time, this business I love might not be the business I have for the rest of my life. Because I had this story of, I'm going to build this business until Hartley's 18 and I'm going to give it to her. And that was always kind of what I would say was like, it'll be my gift to her that she has something. And not that that still can't happen because I still have Harts and Pearls. But it was a change in plan that I didn't expect. And it wasn't until I got my husband helped me, because when I opened up to Ron, instead of him feeling, like anxious or like worried or like confused, he was like, wanted to hear more. He's like, tell me more. And we talked, I swear, for so long about this that it's a joke now that I can't believe he didn't just be like, you're crazy. Because we talked for probably a year and a half about what I was going to do. And I would have an idea and I'm like, I think I'm going to do this. And then I'd find a reason why I'm not. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to do this. And I would research and I would meet up with owners and franchise owners. And I went down all these different routes until a door would shut and I'd be like, okay, it's not that. But at one point I thought I was buying a hotel and we were going to remodel it and like turn it super just aesthetic and make it fun. And at one point I thought I was going to open a franchise and like go into open a Hot Works actually. So it was just like all these different things that I thought this is my direction. And it was cool to be able to have that opportunity. Yeah. I think that to our stories, they have a lot of overlap because correct me if I'm wrong, your business is very similar in the sense that it wasn't like this huge dream of yours to have this balloon installation business, but you followed where the people wanted, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I wanted to start a business, and then it was like, this is what kind of took off. I didn't intend to start a balloon business, but you just follow it, right? You have this dream of having your own thing or having more control over your own life. And it's like, okay, cool. This has happened. And I think you and I think you're a few years ahead of me because I relate to everything you're saying now. Because I remember just a few years ago, and I'm going through this pivot series, kind of what I went through is what I'm going through on the podcast now. So when COVID happened and everything felt from the outside, everything looked like it was amazing, but I was really crumbling on the inside and wasn't really sure what was going on. But I remember sitting with my husband a couple years ago, kind of watching movies and being like, oh, this person became an actor. What made them do that? I started really looking at people and what they were doing for a living. And I was in a way, trying it on. And I think that's kind of what you were just alluding to, what you were doing. It was kind of okay, maybe it's this, and you were kind of trying it on, maybe this would be interesting and seeing what felt right. And I think that actually is an important thing to do. It's you don't just jump to something, but it's let me see what feels 100%.
Right. 100%. And that's exactly what I did. So if I had an idea, I kind of immersed myself in it. I would go, talk to an owner that was already doing that, and research and really run numbers, right? A lot of it came down to that would be fun, but the numbers don't make sense. So some of it came down to, that would be amazing. That doesn't make sense for our family right now. I have kids at home and maybe that's something I do once they're all out of the house, right? So it was fun because this time around, I got to slow down and just listen to myself. What do you really want to do? What's important to you? And I don't really think I had the time in those growing years, especially, to do that because all it was I needed to provide. Yep. I needed to provide. And it was so brand new to be able to be in a spot. And I'm so thankful because I was in a spot that I could do whatever I wanted. And honestly, I think every single person on planet Earth, we all can do whatever we want at any moment in time, right? We just talked about these individuals that decided at the age of 48 or 52 that they were just going to go for it, right? And they did it. We really can. But financially, I was in a spot that I felt secure enough that no matter what I did next, I was going to be okay even if it failed.
Yep.
That I had money coming in that would support me. I wasn't going to let go of my first business until I felt safe to, and I still haven't, you know? And so
having that security does
Yeah.
make it easier to make more sound decisions. Like you're making decisions based off of like really what you're wanting and not out of a scarcity like mindset.
Yeah. In the story of why I even started with West Coast Wellness, because honestly, it was not my idea. It was not my idea, and I wouldn't say it was like my dream until I went through this process. And I ended up hiring a business coach. This is after like a year and a half of me researching my own ideas and talking it through. And every single one of my ideas, my husband was like, you could do that. He was on board, which made it kind of hard because I wanted him to be like, no, you can't do that.
Oh my God, I'm totally.
I mean, at one point, I thought I was going to be Joyce Myers. I was going to go, I was going to travel the world, and I was going to like have these huge women events, right?
I've actually always thought that. I'm like, I need someone to not believe in me. Like, how horrible is it that you have like such a supportive like group of people? But I'm like, sometimes it's so much easier when you have people who don't, and you're trying to like prove them wrong. But it like when people are like, you can do whatever you want. You're like, okay, like, no, I need you to challenge me a little bit, and I'll show you that I can do it. So that's funny.
Yeah, he was always on board. Let's do it, you know? So finally, when it was like, okay, I've tried all that I can do on my own, I hired a business coach, and I hired her for one thing only. I was just going to talk to her about all my ideas, and she was going to help me just kind of organize them. Because honestly, part of it was like, I started feeling bad for my husband because
you're just throwing out ideas left and right.
I started to feel crazy. I'm like, I have to be so annoying to him. He never made me feel that way. And it wasn't till and I hired her for a year, and I just said, I'm just going to treat her kind of like a business counselor and talk it all out. And I hope we get to, something, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And so with her, we did like this more deep internal work. And I really thought I needed some extraordinary new idea to build this business around. And what it came down to was, Desiree, you just need to share your life with the world. And it felt so simple. And it was like, almost like, wow, that's what I hired a business coach for. Like, just to share how I live my life with the world. And as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And the peace came. So,
yeah. So not to back up too far, but just so that people do know like your history, like kind of talk about like why you did start Harts and Pearls, but then maybe that, okay, you went through Harts and Pearls and that to that, but then why West Coast Wellness came.
Yeah, for sure. So Harts and Pearls came, I was 28 years old and got pregnant very unexpectedly, was not married. And honestly, at the time, it was, in my mind, the worst thing that could have happened to me as far timing-wise, situation-wise. I think we, as women, we can think back to being a little girl and even high school years of the dream of getting married and having kids. And as soon as I got pregnant and I wasn't married, it was this like storm of like, my life is not going the direction I thought it was going to go. And so it was a huge low point for me. But I can say without a doubt, like without that, I would not have started Harts and Pearls. So it was getting pregnant, realizing, hey, yeah, you're going to be a single mom. You're going to do this on your own. I had all these things stacked against me. It was right after like the 2008, recession. So my parents had lost their businesses. They lost one of their houses. They moved into the second house. I was 9 months sober. I moved in with them. So it was like this time in my life that was like, if there was a time to have a child, this was not the time.
So wait, you were 9 months sober and then you got pregnant.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. So
a lot changing.
I did, yeah. When I got pregnant, I didn't even have a job. So my last job was I was a general manager of a casino, and to get sober, I obviously needed to leave that job, and that's what I did. So I took this time where I was going to kind of disconnect from the life that I had and take care of myself. And I moved into my parents' I had a lake house that was way out in the woods, and ended up getting pregnant, obviously. And it was a huge turning point for me I thought I was kind of building from fresh and giving myself this new opportunity. And then getting pregnant was like, it felt like, oh my gosh, I just ruined my whole plan. Like, but how life works, right?
Yeah.
Like every time, because what we view as negative or horrible ends up being like exactly what we needed to go through, because we had something to learn, right?
Yeah.
And I had
a better plan for you.
Yes. I had a lot to learn. I was 28, but I was so immature, and I had a lot of growing up to do. And so what it did, it forced me to grow up. I had Hartley and was just deciding to at that point, I got a job. And after I had her, decided to take 3 months off to just stay home with her. And just for fun, I was making headbands and little hats for her.
Yeah.
And people started asking where I got them. And so I just was like, maybe I could try to sell these. And I did not think like, oh, I'll build a business. I thought I'll try to sell them, and maybe I could stay home with her for like 4 months or 5 months. But I'm like, I want to just have more time with her. And so I started it. And honestly, it was by the end of the first month, I knew there was something to it. I was shocked. And so it grew. It grew, and it was the business that got us our first house, stepping stones to first I lived with my parents, then I lived with one sister, then I lived with another sister, then we were able to get our own place.
Wasn't it your sister that kind of asked you, like, when are you going to get a real job or something? I think that was part of your story.
Yes. So it was hard because at this point, my parents lost both their houses, and now they're separated, and now they're going through a divorce. So me and my mom actually move in with one of my sisters. Hartley's 3 months old, and I start Harts and Pearls off her kitchen table. And her and her husband were so kind to let me live there free as I was, being a mom.
Yeah.
And at some point, she's an older sister, and she wanted the best for me, and she felt that, like, Des, how long are you going to be trying to build this business? Like, you need just go get a job, and that's going to really provide.
Yeah.
And I took that in a way that her intentions were not to hurt or harm me.
Yeah.
But I took it in a way that it made me feel like the efforts I was putting in did not matter. And so honestly, what it did is it fired me.
You needed that person to doubt you.
Yeah. Dude, it fired me up. And I was on a mission then, like, not only to like prove her wrong, because I don't want to say it was out of spite, but it was like
make
to
it a real
prove
business.
Myself that I was capable of not having to have a 9-to-5, because my dream became not to, make hair accessories and hats and stuff. My dream came to be a mom that could be present with my daughter and not have to put her in daycare. And so I was fighting against that. And that's exactly what I needed. I needed someone to say something like that to me, because it just made me go for it even more.
Yeah.
So
quick pause before we jump back in. If you haven't downloaded my free guide yet, you're seriously missing out. If you're ready to stop undercharging and book those premium clients that you dream about, I made something just for you. It's my free Charge Your Worth guide. Inside, I'll walk you through the exact mindset shifts you're going to need and real strategies to move from side hustle to powerhouse brand. Download it for free at thejamietaylor.com/free guide and take the first step in building the brand and creative business that you deserve.
Yeah. Well, and you seem at the end of the day like a hustler at heart. So it was just needing that extra like
Yep.
kick.
Yeah.
to
It was
get you,
like this kick it where, you know, I kind of went from, oh, I can just stay here living at my sister's house. Not that I wasn't working and trying to build this business, but it was almost like, I better get going because I might not have a place to live next month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing though. So then you end up growing Harts and Pearls. You're able to buy your first home. Mm-hmm. And then, then to kind of fast forward. So some of you watching don't necessarily know, but Desiree and I have known each other for a while just by each other starting our businesses around the same time. And somehow we got into each other's circle. I'm not even sure how.
Pop-ups, like
Yeah.
all the pop-ups we did. I don't know.
Yeah, lots of like different ways. But so a few years ago, I'm going through like everything that I'm talking about in my Pivot series right now. So as you guys are watching, I think it starts at episode 10. We're kind of talking about my headspace and where I was. So during this time, I'm grasping at straws. I feel like I want to throw my entire business and life away. And I wanted to sell my house, move away. I was done. And that's when I started seeing you posting about West Coast wellness. And you hadn't actually quite fully gotten into it, but I'd seen these posts and that's when I was like, oh, she's kind of transitioning. Like, because I was feeling something internally, but I also was like too afraid to do it. I was still very much in scarcity, like trying to just make money with the business that I was doing. Did feel a little bit of burnout, but I remember being like, I need to talk to her because I feel like you had to have known like what I was going through, but I felt like you were a few years ahead of me because you had started to do your transition. And I think that during, at least for me, what I feel like I've been feeling the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years is like something more. Like there's something more for me out there. And there's a part of like guilt. Like, why can't you be happy? Like these are questions I ask myself. Why can't you just be happy with what you have created? It's great business. Like there is opportunity. And are you just wanting to go because it can get hard? Like there's all these kind of questions that have gone through, but I'm like, no, like I feel like your body knows when you're wanting something either more or something different. And I don't know if you felt that during your transition, but so like, what was that like? I mean, did you feel like you had to kind of like kill off who you were? And what was it like moving into West Coast Wellness, and why wellness?
To go back to the first part, it was hard. It was so hard to the point that when I knew that I was going to start West Coast Wellness, I did it very quietly. I knew exactly why. It was fear-based. It was fear-based out of, what are people going to think if all of a sudden I'm starting this new business? And honestly, it was like this fear coming from the people I've seen online that like, they're doing this MLM and then they're doing this thing and then they're doing this thing and they're changing every 2 months, right?
Yeah.
And I remember Ron going, Desiree, you've had Harts and Pearls for 12 years. You have not had one other job in 12 years. And I was like, I know, I still have that fear of like, what are they going to think? What are they going to like? And so I decided, not from anybody's advice, that the route that felt safest was, I'm going to still go have Harts and Pearls, promote it, run it like usual, but now I'm going to hire some people to step into some roles where I can purposely pull back. I'm not even going to tell anybody, I wasn't even telling my family members about this. And I started West Coast Wellness in January of 2022. And I did it without a website, social media. I just started it by word of mouth. And honestly, I didn't even start it by my own word of mouth of reaching out to clients on my own, because I didn't want to do that. I was so fearful of like, oh, here's Desiree trying to be a wellness coach. Like, where did this come from?
But your identity was wrapped up in like, I'm the owner of Harts and Pearls, and now I'm like doing this, but you think that people see you as Harts and Pearls when really they probably didn't.
Yeah.
So it's just like how you saw yourself.
Totally. So I got my first 2 clients from Ron. Ron referred them to me, people I'd never met before, and it felt really nice because I was living now this new life that no one knew about that I could test out. And I needed that. I needed to like test it out because there was a part of me that's like, well, what if you start this and like 6 months in, you're like, you know what? This is not the direction I want to go. I wanted to give myself the permission that just because I start this doesn't mean this is now what I have to do for another 10 years. Mm-hmm. And so that was a big piece of it too, was I wanted to try it for a year and just immerse myself in it and see, well, what do I think? Could I see myself doing this more long-term? Mm-hmm. So I did that, and I didn't actually start my first Instagram until a year and a half in. And then, you know, a website probably like, you know, 2 years in. So it was kind of, you know, a slower process.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's smart though, because you're right. Like, I mean, it's hard to be visible, mm-hmm. and you have to really be okay, willingly to be like, okay, I don't care what anyone thinks, like I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But I think naturally, like building a good reputation, especially like in publicly having, it just makes it probably a little bit easier to make decisions, right? Like, mm-hmm. okay, I didn't really like that. Now I'm going to try this.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess like what, yeah. Like you went to this business coach and now all of a sudden didn't know what you wanted to do, but then you landed on West Coast Wellness.
Yeah. I landed on West Coast Wellness and it made complete sense for me. It almost felt too easy. And it was like, really, that's all I have to do is just share what I've been doing. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I would say I truly was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing was in Harts and Pearls, the deeper part that wasn't satisfied was impact. And I didn't feel like I was making an impact on people's life by making hats and shirts. And so I tried all these things over the years, and we partnered with nonprofits, and we donated money, and we donated clothing, and all those things were awesome. And I'm glad I did it. And I know it made an impact, but at the end of the day, I still felt you have more. You can make a greater impact. Mm-hmm. And so when it came to West Coast Wellness, I knew that's exactly what I was supposed to be doing because of my own story of transformation and being a recovering alcoholic. So I'm 16 and a half years sober today, and I have completely transformed my life. And I knew that was what I was supposed to be doing, at least for right now, because I started to see more and more and more people stuck in these cycles, and I could see their potential and I could see myself in them. Yeah. And I literally can spot an alcoholic from a block away. I wouldn't even have to know very much about them, but I can say they're an alcoholic by their behaviors, by the choices they make, all these things. So I could spot people. And so throughout my life, like sobriety, I would have these opportunities where I would get the opportunity to help an alcoholic and mentor them or sponsor them, and just be there. And it felt like there was nothing greater than to be able to step into someone's life that they are at a breaking point of really not wanting to live anymore. Yeah. And that's where I was. I was at a point of like, I didn't want to get out of bed anymore. I didn't like who I was. Everything in my life, I was just causing wreckage. I'd broken a lot of relationships. No one trusted me. And it was mind-blowing to me that with a few shifts that I could completely transform my life from the inside out. Yeah. Regain trust, rebuild my life, you know. Mm-hmm. And honestly, if you think about it, when I started my business, I was only 18 months sober. Yeah. And so to go from really, honestly, I was in and out of jail, drinking and driving accidents. It was not a pretty picture. There was reasons why I needed to quit drinking, right? My family did not trust me. I'm mind blown because honestly, I feel like I didn't know that, Desiree. So it's crazy to even think that that's how you were before. I was not faithful in any relationship I had. You know, I was, and it's funny you say that because my husband's never seen me drink. And so when he like hears these things about me, you know, he's just like, I can't even like imagine. Comprehend it, right? And so, which excites me because that's a reflection of I truly have transformed. Mm-hmm. And so it was really me just being like, hey, I've done this, and if I can do it, like you can too. And I want to see the lights go on for people where they can step out of that. And for me, why I went the wellness route instead of addiction or like alcohol, just alcohol focus, was because at the root of every addiction, it's the same, whether it's alcohol, social media, food, whatever, it's all the same, and you go through the same process.
Yeah.
And so I started with wellness because what I do is an all-encompassing approach. So we don't just look at, this person's overeating, but we look at the whole picture, and we also, hear their goals, see what they want to accomplish, and then we put in the plan for them, what they need to do, not only with the nutrition, workouts, and macros, but honestly, I would say a huge part that makes me different from most coaches is my emphasis on the internal work. And 90% of what I do with clients is the internal work, the mindset.
Yeah.
Because if we don't change that, nothing else changes.
Yeah.
And you can attest to that.
Yeah.
Because you've been a client.
I have been. Yeah, so I did. I signed up. I mean, for years it was like, I thought I ate healthy. You'd eat a salad, or you would you just kind of felt like the foods you were eating were healthy, but I never tracked anything. And I was never gaining, but I wasn't also losing, even with going to the gym. So my sister and I had started going to the gym 3 times a week. And I kind of thought if I maintained my food lifestyle, but I started working out, I should lose. It didn't. And it was kind of frustrating because I was like, I'm not understanding and I'm not getting it. And that was at the point when you had that and I was a little bit frustrated, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this because I had 20 pounds that I wanted to lose, and I was tired of caving on food. And I know, and they always say, it's 80% food and 20% working out. And starting with your program, I do think that was what was different. And actually, one of the things in one of your calls that resonated with me was, I think we had to say something, and I was trying to think of what it was, but mine.
I think it was your no matter what.
Yes, and mine was I didn't want to live a life of mediocrity, but you were but by continuing to eat the way that you're eating, or by continuing to do the things that you're doing, you are choosing a life of being mediocre. You're saying, I want to be mediocre. And that actually really triggered me because I was like, no, I don't. And your system, so to kind of fast forward, I ended up losing 20 pounds, and I actually won one of the competitions, which was super. I wasn't expecting to win one. I really was just trying to kind of master my food.
Yeah.
And really understand. But I really feel like the difference, I think a lot, and actually we'll kind of get into this too because I have some of those questions, but from my take, I think one of the hardest parts is, I feel like I have to eat the same thing every day. And I like variety. And I will say, I did have to get to a point where it is easier to track your food. When you're tracking your food every day, you want to eat the same things, because if you're logging your food, it's really annoying to have to continually change it.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting into a habit where it was I kind of ate the same thing for breakfast, my snack, and lunch, and then dinner would kind of be changed a little bit. And the biggest things that I think I took away was, even if I had a healthy dinner, lunch, or meal, it was the oil. I didn't realize how much oil. It was until you started, and I felt like I was walking around my house with a measuring spoon everywhere. It's everything was a measuring spoon. But it was really interesting because I was definitely, even if the meal was healthy, with all the other items, it was the amount of oil I was putting into it. So that was a huge thing, because tracking my food, I realized I might have hit all the other macros, but if I went over my fat, I did not lose weight, which makes sense, right? You're trying to lose fat, but you're eating fat.
Yeah.
Even if it's healthy, people are oh, it's healthy fat, but it's still fat.
Right.
And so I realized once I kind of put that into perspective, and then also I knew I had too many carbs, processed carbs. And it was kind of really learning to eliminate breads and carbs out of my diet, and getting the carbs, whether it was from fruit and from
I remember
other things.
You were on this kick of making sandwiches, the grilled sandwiches at home.
Yeah. I could
prior to signing up.
Yes. And I still, I will say, even now not doing it, it's you can find yourself slipping into it. But what I realized was now that I have a system of how to eat and understanding, it's way easier to get back onto something if you slip off, if you know what you're doing. But before I didn't. And I also didn't know my resting calorie rate. And it's actually funny because I'm doing a competition a little bit with my sister right now because we're trying to like hold each other accountable. But it was funny. So since I've lost 20 pounds, so my resting, maybe other people don't know this because I did not know this, but like you kind of always go like, oh, 2,000 calories. Well, no, my resting calorie rate was 16. So in order for me to lose weight, I needed to be down to 1450, which is what I was in your program. Well, then you lose weight. So I just did my resting calorie rate is now lower. And I told I told my sister, I was like, abort the mission. Did you know if you lose weight, you can eat less? And then, so we're laughing about it because I was like, let's stop it. Let's not do it. But I'm kidding. But it was kind of funny because I'm like, oh, duh. Like, right, the more you do, the more you're going to lose. But if I didn't know what my resting calorie rate is, like that was why I wasn't losing anything, was because I was constantly going off of like a 2,000 calorie thing. But that's not what my resting calorie rate was.
Yeah. And you know what it is, mine's low too, but you have to keep in mind for like the BMR, the basal metabolic rate, that's at rest with you not doing anything. Like if you were laying in bed, right? That's what your body's going to burn. But obviously you're walking around, you're working, right? You're probably going for walks, you're working out.
But that's the thing that I thought was the most interesting about your program. Like because we didn't start doing workouts. We started just eating. And I essentially lost 20 pounds by changing my diet. I was going on walks, but I was not doing any lifting, strenuous workout, nothing. And I lost 20 pounds. So I thought, like, to me, I was mind blown. Like you don't have to like spend hours in the gym, but now it gets to a point where it's like building muscle and becoming strong because now we're in our 40s and
exactly. And building muscle is going to raise your BMR. So, so you didn't do the workouts. Well, typically they start week 2.
I did do the work. I did start doing them, I guess, like towards was it week 2?
Yeah, it's week 2. So it's 2 weeks.
I wasn't great at them.
And the reason why I do that, I wasn't great at them. Well, you've kept the weight off.
I have.
So the fear with not strength training during a fat loss phase is that you're going to lose muscle, right? Because you have kept the weight off, it means that your body adapted, or you at least worked out enough to maintain the muscle. So when you came out of your calorie deficit, you're not just going to gain the weight back, right? Yeah. So yeah,
I'm definitely focused on staying like where I'm at.
Well, good job. I mean, it's been over a year.
Yeah.
That you've been in the program. So that's amazing.
I think a lot, I don't know is it mostly women that you work with?
Yeah, it is. I do work with men, but it's mostly women. Yeah.
So with women, like they come to you saying like, I want to lose weight, but do you think that that's really what they're wanting? Or do you think it's that is there something deeper there that they're actually wanting?
Yeah, it's always deeper. And honestly, some women come to me and they don't even know they want to lose weight. They won't even say those words. It's this interesting phenomenon that a lot of women that come to me are at a breaking point, that they've tried everything, right? And no matter what they try, it doesn't work. So they've gotten to this point that no matter what they try, it's not going to work. And so they've actually settled. So when they come to me, there is like about, I would say 20% of women that come to me, that when they come to me, although they want to lose weight, if they're in their right conscious mind, they want to lose weight, they're not happy in their body, but they will not admit that because it's easier to be able to accept this body that they're in than to think they're going to fail again. And I will have to dig and keep asking questions to get them to the point that they actually want to lose weight. Because they will say all these things like, I don't care so much about the number on the scale. I just want to feel good in my skin. And I think we can all say, yeah, me too. Like, I don't care if the number's this, that, or that. But just like building a business, if you don't have a target, how the hell are you going to get there?
Yeah.
And so the way that I get them to acknowledge that there's probably a number that is close to a goal, because, right, we don't know the exact number. No one does, right? Yeah. But there's probably a number that's close to the goal. Is I say, tell me about the last time you just felt your best. Like when you put on clothes, you really loved looking in the mirror. You had energy. You had confidence. Man, that's probably before I had my first kid. When was that? 2010. Okay, so about 16 years ago. And then they're just like, wow. For the first time, they've realized it's been 16 years, because a lot of these people don't even realize how long they've been in the battle, right?
Yeah.
And when they acknowledge that this has been going on for 16 years, right, it's also a wake-up call. And then the next question I always ask is, prior to getting pregnant and you felt good and you loved, I use their words back, right? You felt good in your skin. What was the number on the scale? And then they say a number, and then I say, and how much, and what's the number today? And right, and that's just another wake-up call, because now they see, oh, there's a 30-pound difference, or a 40-pound or 60-pound, right? And so then I just say, hey, doesn't mean, right, this number, if you were 135, 16 years ago, it doesn't mean that's your number.
Yeah.
But it means let's start moving towards that and see when you hit that goal of, I look in the mirror and I love the way I look and I feel confident and I have energy, and all the things, because they are there. So yes, to answer your question, some women don't even know they're looking for weight loss. Some women think it's only weight loss. And I have to get them connected to the deeper why, right? Because I'm sure if you came into the program and your only goal was, I want to lose 20 pounds, and you didn't have reasons why, just talk about your deeper, because that's what really gets people motivated. It's the deeper behind that.
Yeah.
Why did you want to lose 20 pounds?
Yeah. Yeah. Which I think for me, mine was like, I wanted my clothes to fit right. Like I didn't want to, I felt like I was busting at the seams. I was like, I will be damned if I get to go up pant size.
Yeah.
And so it was like, no, I want to feel good. I want to be able to put mine and not have this like muffin top or feel like I'm about to like explode from my clothes. And it was, once you start losing that weight, actually another thing that I did really realize was once I started to cut like the breads and the carbs out of my diet, you always thought as a woman, I would think when my period would be coming, that's when I would feel kind of bloated. And that almost kind of went away completely when I cut out carbs. And I realized it wasn't my period. It was the breads that I was eating that were actually making me just kind of feel icky. But I kind of attributed it to the time of the month instead of the food that I was eating, because that bloated feeling kind of completely went away, which was really interesting to me too. So it is interesting when you really start to pay attention and start to like listen to your body. And then when you're tracking it, because then you're like, okay, well, what did I eat that made me, like, why am I feeling this way? What did I eat in the last few hours? But one thing I thought that was really interesting you just said, and I think this could be for whether it's women who have children, because I think you said that was like, right, the best time she felt was before her first child.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is that whether your first child could be your business, but it also could be actual children.
Yeah.
And I think either one, women tend to naturally, right, we're caretakers and we give everything to everybody else around us, and we put ourselves last on the list. And sometimes it's just because you don't have energy by the time you're doing that for the rest of everybody else. So, and even your business, my son is older, but with installs and all that, which I think are super strenuous.
Yeah.
My sister and I go back and forth on whether or not it's considered a workout, but the only time I close the ring on my thing is when I'm at an install.
So that is.
She was like, that's not a workout. I'm like,
it is.
It 100% is.
It is. Yep.
And so it's funny because it's totally a joke, like kind of between the two of us, but I will find myself not wanting to work out because I feel like I'm so exhausted from that, where I do feel like a concentrated like workout, even if it's like 20 minutes. But I would assume that a lot of people that you work with are ambitious women in some regard. Why do you feel like we tend to put ourselves last instead of making the time to, which we know will make us feel good, right? It's like, I know working out will make me feel good, but I'm exhausted. So it's like making yourself do it. But why do you feel like it's so hard?
I think women were so nurturing at our core, and like we were created to take care of people. Like we were created to be like our husband's partner and a helpmate. And so why we were even created that is like our purpose. That when we step into a room, I think most women are like, how could I help? Oh, that person needs help. I'm going to help them. If we see someone hurting, we automatically want to do something, right? Our kids upset, like we will do whatever it takes to, get to the root of the problem when it comes to especially our family. And I also think for women that after we have kids, that there's this huge burden on us that the way our kids turn out is dependent on how we perform as a mother. And so we're willing to give up everything to pour into our kids and our husbands and our marriages. And we don't even realize it at the time because it is fulfilling to be able to see your families grow. And, at the same time, a lot of these women then go back to work and they have careers and they're making money and they have actually a very vibrant, full life. Like they see themselves moving from one house to the next house that's an upgrade, and their kids are doing well and their marriage is in a good point. And then they wake up one day and they realize, what the hell? They see themselves in the mirror and it's like they have this moment of like, I've been taking care of everybody else and I forgot about me. And it makes me sad, but a lot of women, it takes this almost breaking point to get them out of this. And it's part of what society has put on us. If you think about like kind of what we're coming out of, and especially if you think back to even our moms, I don't know if our moms are the same age, but my mom's 70 and her job, I mean, you weren't even supposed to work back then. You were supposed to take care of the husband and the kids and stay home. Don't go out with your friends. Like your job was pretty much to be a prison to the home and make it meticulous. And now we're going through these changes. And now we're in a time that now women have careers. And so now we're supposed to take care of the home, the kids, and make money.
Yeah.
And hold it all together and still like stay skinny, right?
Yeah.
Like
my mom actually did amazing in her 40s. Like I remember she would go and this must have been actually in her 30s. My mom would go work out before she would go to work. So she would go work out, come back home. I was the annoying daughter who I liked to see my mom before I left for school. So she had to make it back before I left. Otherwise I wouldn't get on the bus. And so I made it exceptionally like hard on her to do it. But honestly, looking back now, I was like, now being her age, it's like, wow, like what a commitment to yourself to make yourself get up early enough to work out, to then go to work, then come home and take care of the family. Like my mom is probably one of the strongest people that I know. Awesome. And it's such a good role model in that regard. But I think the other thing though is too, people are hustling hard to make money or take their kids. Like kids are so busy in like all of these activities and all of these sports. It's like, and I think before it was like you had to work out for 45 minutes to, get a workout or get a good calorie burn. But you posted something the other day that really stuck with me and I want you to talk about this, like the research of just doing even like a 20-minute workout. And that stuck with me because I was like, you know what? I can do that. Like I could do a 20-minute workout a day. Now an hour seems sometimes overwhelming to me. So what does that look like? And can somebody just fit in 20 minutes? And if they do maybe shorter workouts like that, does it have to be 5 days a week or what does that look like? But that resonated with me because I'm like, okay, I can do 20 minutes and sit down and do something.
No, that's a great question. So that's a huge piece of what I've created because the problem isn't that these women aren't motivated, don't have discipline, and don't know what to do. We all have the information at our fingertips, right? It is going from the information to the implementation part of it. And so I knew when I built a plan, I had to build a plan that would fit into a very fast-paced career woman's life that also had kids, that also had a husband, that was devoted to her family, and also had a very social life. And she volunteers, so her life is fast-paced. So based off of my own transformation, what I found was I was not getting results when I was working out 5 days a week. So the next thing I did was start working out 6-7 days a week, then 2 workouts a day. I wasn't getting results. And if anything, what ended up happening was that I remember looking in the mirror after my 75 hard and literally crying because I just worked out for 75 days, 2 workouts a day.
Yeah.
And it didn't even look like I stepped foot in the gym. And that was my wake up call. What I did was then threw my body into a science project of like, I'm going to try all these different things, and I would try them for 6 weeks and track it. And I was like meticulous. I would take photos, measurements, weigh myself, look at body fat, muscle mass, until I kind of hit this spot that I was like, holy crap. I wonder why it wasn't working. I was doing the exact opposite of what I was supposed to be doing. So what I found like the sweet spot was when I had 3 workouts a week that were around 30 minutes, and I never did a back-to-back workout, and I kept my steps actually lower. So whenever I pushed into higher steps for me and my age, because at this point I was like 38, 39 years old when I was testing this out, my body could not cooperate like a 20-year-old anymore. So the HIIT workouts back in the day, yes, it was fine for me. My hormones were operating good. Well, now that everything's shifted, I trigger my nervous system so easily that if I combine a calorie deficit with strength training, and now I'm trying to walk 12,000 steps a day, it was too much for my body. So I found this rhythm that was 3 workouts a week, that on my off days, rest, I did about 8,000 steps. On my strength days, I did about 5,000 steps, and that my body changed so quick that I was like, this is too easy. I kept going. I couldn't believe my body was changing. I kept telling myself like, I'm not doing enough. Like I had so much like downtime because I was so used to spending hours in the gym. Like I had multiple gym memberships, right? And it takes time out of your life.
Yeah.
That I went from that to switching to going like, this can't be working, but it was. And so, and still to this day now, you know, I'm 44 and a half. My mind will still play tricks on me because I think as career driven women that are so, we want to reach our potential in everything, in motherhood, in marriage, that we think our work, effort put in equals what we get out. And the gym is one place that is not effort put in equals the effort you get out. Absolutely not. And so my mind still has to like comprehend, like, this isn't about going to the gym and working your ass off and then you get the body. This is about being very strategic about where you're at in your life right now, and listening to your nervous system and what's going on and what is your body telling you. Yeah.
What was your why? Why so much like into the gym and getting like working out, and like what drove you that direction?
It was a piece of my recovery. So what I found when I got sober was I thought initially if I took the alcohol away, it was going to clean up my life and everything was going to be fine. And I kind of found the opposite, that took the alcohol away and the mess was there for me to look at. And I had a lot to work to do. And I was obviously self-medicating because I was high anxiety and I was depressed, right? And so I then had to find my own solution to, well, if those are the reasons I was turning to drinking, how can I solve that without turning to drinking? And exercise and nutrition became a huge piece of that. I started to identify super early in my sobriety how when I ate certain foods, it shifted my mood, and how a certain type of workout I really needed for my mind, not anything else, not about looking in the mirror. It was like, this was my medicine. And so that's what it was. Like it kind of turned into fear-based of, if I don't take care of myself well enough, I'm going to go back to the person I used to be. And I'm so afraid of that person that I'm going to do whatever it takes. So that was the beginning. And then it transitioned into still that, but then there was like this fire lit in me of like, well, I work so hard. Why doesn't it look like I'm in the gym? And I started to believe that I was doing something wrong, and I wanted to see my body transform, kind of like my internal transformation. And I was really questioning why I wasn't seeing more of that. And so that it became kind of like this goal to show transformation on the outside, so people could identify that actually the internal transformation.
Well, I think one thing that you're hitting on too is like you first had to start the habit. Like you first just have to get going. Then you can, okay, now the habit is established. Now I can like fine tune it and really figure out how to get like the results that I'm wanting to get. Because half the battle is just like starting the habit of doing it. And then it's kind of like, okay, how do I improve this or make this a little bit better?
Yeah. And to go back to your question about the 20-minute workouts is there's actually new research coming out, and I think we'll probably start seeing it more in a year. And I've started testing it out, and it is, don't do a fourth set ever. You can actually get a incredible workout with 2 sets and maximizing your progressive overload in those 2 sets. And it ends up being like more like a 20-minute workout.
Yeah.
And so for the last probably 3 months, I've only been doing 2 sets. And when I lift, it's only like 20 to 30 minutes. And honestly, this is going to be super vulnerable, but today I was looking at pictures for a post for West Coast Wellness. And I looked at the picture and I thought, I'm building muscle too fast. I need to slow down. And I say that only because like it's proof that we don't need to be in the gym for an hour every single day.
Yeah.
And that I've been able to build muscle very efficiently with these 20-minute workouts 3 times a week.
Yeah.
With low testosterone, by the way. So that was one thing we wanted to touch on was the hormones.
Yes. You had made a post the other day about like HRT, and I had been looking into it myself because I'd like been hearing about it and then been hearing like bad things about it. And I've watched this whole kind of documentary on like what HRT was like back in the day and how it didn't have, which HRT is hormone replacement therapy. And I think that now I'm not a doctor, neither one of us are doctors, so don't, like definitely consult a doctor first. But one of these documentaries that a friend of mine sent to me was talking about like back in the day, the reason that hormone replacement therapy has a bad connotation to a lot of people is that they were prescribing estrogen, but it didn't have progesterone. And you need like both in order for it to not harm you as a woman. So I ended up going to, because during all of this up and down roller coaster of my life, I thought something was wrong. I'm like, something's wrong with me. Like, I feel like maybe it's not my business. Like maybe I'm like chemically, like something's going on. And then you started hearing about like perimenopause, and I felt like I was feeling a lot of those same, like everything that I read was like, yes, I'm irritable. Like it didn't take much for me to kind of like set off, felt like exhausted, burnout, just a bunch of the things that were on there. And that's what got me starting to look into it a little bit. But what has I know you just said that is it just testosterone? Because you don't have to be like on all of the things. It's just.
No. So yeah, it's just testosterone. And for me, like what got me to be like, okay, I should look at this is, I mean, there's been a ton of research that's out now and everybody's talking about it, which I'm so thankful because I know it's just like back in the day, it's like, you didn't talk about this with anybody. You just went through it and you sucked it up.
And I think people too thought it was like normal. Like my friend was actually just saying something to me the other day and I didn't actually say anything to her, but she was like, said something about like either her husband's like chewing was annoying her or something about like being irritable. And I was like, well, your hormones are probably out of whack.
Totally. Yeah. If all of a sudden you can't handle the way your husband's breathing or eating or like little movements, like you probably need to have your blood looked at.
Yes.
For me, so I had a symptom that I wasn't reading about in like the main list of symptoms, and the symptom that I had was extreme anxiety. And it was so extreme that I was like, something's not right, because I'm having anxiety about things. I'm such like an easygoing person. I'm like, go with the flow. If there's something negative, I'm always looking at the positive, like, and all of a sudden these little things were causing anxiety.
Yes.
And I'm like, why do I have anxiety? And I would even tell Ron, I'm like, I have anxiety about this. And he's like, you've never worried about that, right? And so finally I was like, you know, again, I thought, oh, this is a phase. I'll get over it. I'm probably stressed. And then it was like, enough is enough. I'll go look, see at least get my blood tested and see what my hormones are at. And so the funny part of this is that while I'm in the doctor's office, I tell the doctor, well, my testosterone's not going to be low because I build muscle really efficiently. And I even pulled up, it was awesome. I even was like, see, and I pulled up a picture and showed her a picture and a video on my phone of me working out and my abs to prove to this doctor, like, my testosterone's not low. This is like before we get the results back, right?
Yeah.
But it's like me just being like, I know it's not that, because she said, the first thing she said is, well, high anxiety, that's low testosterone. And I was like, no, I know I don't have that. It's something else. Comes back, the only thing that's low is testosterone. It's extremely low. And I was mind blown because I was like, well, holy crap, I've been able to build muscle so efficiently with only 3 workouts a week and have low testosterone. Like, it actually made me fired up more for my program.
And you're like, what's going to happen?
Right? Made me fired up for my program because, like, a lot of, and I don't want to say hormones don't play a role, but a lot of women, they do. They like take on this identity of like, well, it's hormones. Well, I'm in perimenopause. It's just my age. I'm too old. I can't lose weight. And it's proof that if you have the right strategy and the right things in place, you can. You're just not doing what you need to be doing, right? Yeah.
Which is mostly, I think, for anything, right? It's like, and it's doing it and then doing it consistently, which that's the hardest part, is the consistency of doing something. That's interesting because mine actually came back. I have had the same feeling. I was never an anxious person, ever. Never would have thought that you would. That's why I thought this was all like business related. And then, because I kind of had been craving like Jamie in her 20s. Like, you know, when you weren't worried about like the future and retiring, when you were living like paycheck to paycheck. I was like, why was I way more chill then than I am now? And I can tell you, like, 37 years old was exactly when I started to feel all like everything starting to change. But that also was coinciding with kind of with my business and everything that was kind of going on with that. And the doctors, originally when I went to the doctors, because I was like crying every day, and my dad was like, you need to go to the doctors. He was like really worried about me. And he was like, you need to go get checked out. And I was like, okay, like maybe you're right. Like maybe this is more than my business. And so when I went in, and they just prescribed me anxiety medication, right? It was like, oh, you probably have anxiety. And then I had taken that and didn't really love the way it made me feel. And it also didn't make me feel less anxious. But what was interesting was coming out of all of that, I thought that like paying off all my debt would have like, right? All this anxiety. I felt like a lot of it was paying off the debt. And then I paid it off, still felt the same. I could still feel this something in my chest that I could not get to go away. And I actually still have it like today, even with getting on like some HRT, but my hormones my testosterone wasn't super low, but we did put me on like a low dosage of testosterone. So, but I haven't fully gotten it to go away. So I don't know that I've necessarily found it, because I still will feel, but I do feel like it's hormone related to some degree, because I'm like, I feel like it just is almost like lingering and kind of there. And it feels like it's not, I'm like, this never was me before. It has to be my hormones.
Yeah.
But, and I feel like there's still, right, every person is different in terms of how they respond to things. My sister and I have been kind of going down this route, which is why when you posted the HRT, I was like, oh, like, what's your experience with it? Because I think my sister was a little bit reluctant. But with my dad going through his thing, like, we've really gone down this health route of really trying to understand like our blood work and what's really working. And we started kind of getting into more functional health, like what is the root? Because I don't just want to take anxiety medicine. I want to understand why my body is feeling this way and what I can do to support it. And I think one of the things, and I actually talk about one of my episodes, was that when I had a lot of anxiety, I forced myself to go run, because I was like, I had this pounding in my chest, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna have this pounding in my chest, it's gonna be for doing something, not just sitting here. But oddly, like, it going and running helped dissipate that feeling. And so I struggle mentally with, I know getting into the gym is super helpful in my business, because it does clear my mind. So it's like making it a habit to do it. And I kind of go in and out of that depending on like the workload. But I do think as like a business owner, having some regular, even if it's 20 minutes, helps kind of get all of this like pent up energy out that you have like bottled in your body. And whether it is just for a walk or something more high intensity, but I just remember seeing that one. I was like, 20 minutes I can do 20. Like who can't do 20 minutes?
Exactly.
Like you can scroll on your phone for 20 minutes.
Yep.
So, and I have been which I've been using it as an excuse. I do realize that now. Another girl that I know, because I feel like a lot of people that are in their 40s, it's like all of a sudden you're seeing a ton of people like losing weight in their 40s. And I actually really love seeing it because I think everyone's kind of like, I don't know, trying to like take their health back.
Yeah.
And so a girl that I know has been kind of done exactly what you did. Like she's totally transformed. She went into bodybuilding and lifting and she looks amazing. But I had ran into her at the gym, and when you and I started this, remember I was saying I have a lower back issue, and I just found out I have a compressed disc, like a bone on bone on my very last vertebrae. And so I 100% have been using that. I don't want to say as an excuse. I definitely do not want to. I've had where I've lifted weights and then my back has kind of gone out and I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it's made me trigger shy. But then I see her like lifting weights in the gym, and I'm like, she ended up telling me she had like 2 slip discs and kind of get steroid shots. And I'm like, and you're still here and you're still doing it. It's like, okay. I just need to find out like the right workouts to do, not do them, but find out what actually makes sense in order for me to stay consistent. But I think those are you don't really realize until you run into somebody else. And it's like, oh, you have that too and you're doing it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like that wake up call you needed.
It was. I was like, okay. So I started doing I was like, I'm going to do light weights. I'm not going to do anything super heavy, but I just want to get back into the habit of working out consistently. And then from there, and I was talking to my sister about this, I think so much of it is just starting the habit and doing it in a way and then build on that habit. Like that's the hardest part. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start 20 minutes, 3 days a week, light weights, but just start working out again and then start building on that a little bit more. But I feel like so many people, it's like, I have to work out for a whole hour, or I need to work out 5 days a week. It's like, no, just get started. If you're not working out at all, work out twice a week.
Yep. Yeah. There's so many days that I'll do like a 10-minute workout and then another 10-minute workout. And honestly, some of the reason why is I can only convince myself to do 10 minutes. And so I just say, okay, go out there for 10 minutes and see how you feel. And then it turns into longer. And then some days it's like, nope, that feels fine. And I'll finish my other 10 minutes later.
Yeah. Okay.
But 2 10-minute workouts, like two in a day, you can fit that in, even if you have to split it up.
Easy.
Like,
that post was kind of life-changing for me. I was like, oh, you don't need to do 45 minutes. Like you can just fit in, like just do what you can.
Yeah.
And then kind of build from there. Okay. So I want to wrap this up with questions, myth or fact.
Okay.
Carbs make you gain weight.
Myth. I mean, it's hard. So no, it's not carbs alone. Carbs can. So
Myth.
I would say if someone believes that, then I would say myth.
Okay. You have to work out every day.
Myth.
Walking is enough.
Depends on what age you are. I think walking could be enough for a time, but so myth.
Lifting weight makes women bulky.
That's a myth.
You have to spend an hour in the gym.
Myth.
We just talked about that. It's too late after 40.
Oh, myth.
What do you think the biggest thing is for women after 40? Like, what is it? Just more protein, or like just a couple of things of like the biggest impacts for if you're after 40?
After 40, break out of the idea that you need to go to the gym and sweat your ass off. So quit doing high intensity cardio, quit running, start lifting heavy weights, and start tracking what you're eating, and work on high protein.
Okay.
Yeah.
So high protein diet, track what you eat, and just lift heavier weights. You don't have to run.
Yep.
Alcohol in moderation doesn't affect your progress.
It will. It will, because alcohol is a poison, right? So I'm just going to be upfront. It's a poison, and that's why you feel inebriated. It's what it's meant to, what it does to your brain is it numbs that area of your brain, right? And so no matter if you have one drink, your body's going to show that the next day. So you'll get dehydrated. And because your body's dehydrated, now it's taking on as much water as possible. So you step on the scale, and a lot of people are up 2 pounds after having one drink.
Yeah.
So yes, it will slow down your progress, because you will not know where you're lying at on the scale. And if you're in a calorie deficit, you are going to be very upset when you see the scale going up, because you're going to be like, I'm tracking, I'm working hard, I'm doing everything. Why am I not losing weight? And when you have alcohol in your system, it slows down protein synthesis. So your ability to build muscle significantly slows down. So this isn't about quit drinking 100%, but if you're in your fat loss phase, I would pull drinking out as much as possible and reintroduce it more maybe in your maintenance phase.
Yeah. I will say, because I have introduced alcohol back in, but outside of like just drinking, that's if you don't cave in the evening, because now you're like having fun drinking and now you're eating, making poor choices on eating, right? Because it's like, oh, whatever, I'm having fun. Like you kind of lower your decision making and do that as well. But that was one thing I've noticed, because when I did your program, I committed to not drinking, and there's no way I think I would have lost that much weight if I had drink, just purely out of making horrible food choices once I started drinking. So, and I've noticed that now, like if I go out for like wine tasting with friends, and so it's like, to me, I feel like I'm like trying to find a balance, but lately I've been like, there really is no balance. You need to stop drinking, or like there really isn't. Like you either need to do it very seldom and be very selective on when you do it. But like, if you're socialite, like every weekend is when you're drinking and you're trying to lose weight, it's going to be really difficult to do. I feel like we know this one. Myth or fact, protein is actually like as important, because now it's like protein as in like every chip, every thing. Do you think it's just like the next fad, or is it really that important?
It's going to be, it's like everything we see. We go through this, fat-free, sugar-free, all these stages. So I do think there's some fad to it, especially that people think they can get their protein through a chip. Like, I mean, okay, you can do that every once in a while, but like if you're truly trying to build muscle, if you're truly trying to lose fat, the most efficient way is animal protein. And so I think what's going to stay long-term is the knowledge, especially for women, because men have been eating more protein for years, especially men that want to build muscle in the gym. They've known about that. Women have always taken this stance of, well, I don't want to build muscle. I don't want to be bulky. So I don't need to focus on protein. So now I think it's more about the longevity piece for women to know that like if they want to build muscle, and because muscle is exactly connected to longevity, like how much muscle mass you have, people with higher muscle mass live longer. And so I think it's going to be more long-term because of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Now, a quick ask. I want to keep bringing you these free educational podcasts so that you can build the event business that you want. You can make that possible by simply sharing this episode with your friend, following us on your favorite platform, and leaving us a review. It takes just a moment, and it makes sure that I can keep bringing you the best quality content so that you can go from pop-up to powerhouse.